The prisoner in the shadows. Jared moved slowly through the dark, broken spaceship. The old ship was floating in deep space, far from any planet. Smoke rose from broken walls. Wires hung like vines. Every step made a sharp sound as his boots hit the metal floor. He wasn't here to fight. He was just a scavenger, looking for parts, looking for anything he could sell. But something didn't feel right. The ship was too quiet. He turned on his flashlight and pointed it down the hallway. There were signs of a battle, burn marks, broken panels, even a few drops of dried blood. His heart beat faster than he heard it. A soft whisper, too soft to understand. It came from the shadows ahead. Jared froze. He wasn't alone. He raised his old blaster and moved carefully toward the sound. The hallway opened into a large room. A control panel blinked weakly in the corner. Part of the wall had collapsed, and behind it, he saw a strange glow. He stepped closer. Behind the broken wall was a cage, a glowing energy cage. And inside it, lying on the floor, was someone Jared's breath caught. It was a girl. No, not a human. Her skin was pale blue. Her hair was silver and tangled. She wore strange metal cuffs on her wrists. Her body was curled up, and she was shaking. Jared looked around. No guards. No sounds. Just her. He walked to the cage and spoke softly. Hey, ... Can you hear me? She didn't answer. He knelt and looked closer. Her eyes were shut, but her lips moved slightly. She was whispering something, over and over. Jared checked the power lines on the cage. One wire was already damaged. He followed it to the wall and cut it with his tool. The energy flickered. He pulled the last cable, and the cage vanished with a pop. The girl fell forward, unconscious. Jared caught her just in time. She was light, too light. Her skin was cold. Her breathing was weak. I've got you, he whispered. He lifted her in his arms and carried her out of the room. Every step back to his ship felt heavier. He didn't know who she was, but something told him she was important. When he reached his ship, he placed her on the medical bed and started scanning her. The machine beeped softly. Bruises. Dehydration. No major injuries, but she was weak. He cleaned the cuts on her arms. He gave her a bit of water, one drop at a time. She didn't wake. Not yet. An hour passed. Then two. Finally, her eyes opened. Big golden eyes stared at him, full of fear. Jared took a step back. It's okay. You're safe now. She pushed herself away from him and hit the wall behind her. Her hands went to her neck, then her chest, like she was checking if she was still alive. I'm not your enemy, Jared said slowly. I found you. You were in a cage. She said something in another language. He didn't understand. He pointed at himself. Jared. She blinked. He said it again. Slower. Yared. She watched his lips, then copied Yared. He smiled. That's right. She looked unsure, but not as scared as before. She touched her chest and whispered, Trina. Your name. She nodded. Double quotes. Nice to meet you, Trina, Jared said. Her eyes moved to the window behind him. The stars were passing by. The ship had already left the broken warship, but her fear came back. Someone's after you, he guessed. She nodded quickly. Her hands trembled. Bounty hunters, he asked. She didn't know the word, but she pointed to the sky, then made a fist and shook it, like someone had hurt her. He understood. Jared sat beside the bed. I don't know who you are, but I promise, I won't let anyone hurt you. Trina looked at him for a long time. Her eyes searched his face. Then, slowly, she raised her hand. Her palm lit up. A small glowing mark appeared, shaped like a crown with stars around it. Jared's eyes widened. That was no normal girl. That was a royal, Marka, princess. He stepped back in shock. You single quotes read ... a princess. She said something he didn't understand, but the way she sat up, the way she carried herself, now it all made sense. She wasn't just kidnapped, she was someone powerful. And now, Jared had rescued her suddenly. His ship's sensors beeped. A red dot appeared on the screen. Something or someone was tracking them. Jared looked at the unconscious princess and whispered, What have I gotten myself into? The red light on the screen blinked again. Jared stared at it. The scanner didn't lie. Someone had followed them through space. He didn't know who, but they were coming fast. He turned to the girl lying on the bed. Trina, the alien girl he had rescued. Her skin was glowing faintly, and her breathing was steady now. But that mark on her hand, the royal symbol, it kept flashing in his mind. He had saved a kidnapped alien princess, and now, someone wanted her back. Fast. Jared walked to the control panel and punched in a few commands. He changed the ship's path, turning away from the trade lanes. They would go off-grid for now, through an asteroid belt. It was dangerous, but it was better than getting caught. The engines roared as the ship shifted direction. Behind him, he heard a small sound. He turned. Trina was awake. She sat up, her golden eyes wide and filled with worry. She looked around, then pointed to the blinking red light on the control screen. Jared nodded. Yeah, they're coming. She clenched her fists and whispered something in her language. Then she reached for him, touched his hand. She pulled it close to her own palm, and the royal mark appeared again. The crown with stars around it glowed brightly. Jared understood what she meant now. They're after you because of this. She nodded. Why would they do that to a princess? He asked. She looked down, silent. Then she raised her hand again and made a gesture like chains tightening around her wrist. Her eyes were full of pain. They didn't just kidnap you, Jared said slowly. They wanted to use you. Trina nodded again, then pointed at her chest, then made a shaking motion. Her lips moved, repeating one word. Jared listened. Thalen. Thal-An. He looked at her. Is that a name? She looked angry when he said it. She slammed her fist against the bed. Thalen, bad. Thalen is the one who took you, he asked. She nodded, eyes burning. Jared turned back to the scanner. Then he's probably the one chasing us now. Suddenly, a beeping sound echoed through the ship. They had entered the asteroid belt. Large chunks of rock floated all around them. Jared gripped the controls. The ship shook as they passed through, dodging spinning debris. Trina held onto the bed, her eyes wide. Jared flew the ship carefully, weaving between the asteroids, but the red dot on the screen was still there. Closer now. They're fast, he muttered. Too fast. He turned on the cloaking system. It wasn't perfect, but it would hide their heat for a few minutes. The red dot paused. Trina leaned forward, staring at the screen. Jared watched with her. The dot moved again, then stopped. They had lost them. For now. Jared let out a breath. We need somewhere to hide. He pulled up a star map. There was an old station on a small moon nearby. It was shut down, abandoned after the war. But it might have working parts. And it might be empty. He set a course. Trina watched his hands on the controls. Then she said, Jared. He looked at her. Yeah. She pointed to him, then to her heart, then said, safe. He paused, then smiled. You feel safe with me? She nodded. Jared looked at her. Ellie looked this time. She was still bruised, still afraid, but her eyes were calm. She wasn't shaking anymore. She trusted him. They landed on the moon within the hour. The station was dark and silent. Jared scanned the area. No life signs. They were alone. He opened the hatch, and the cool air hit them. The moon sky was cloudy, filled with soft purple light. Trina stepped out beside him, her eyes wide as she looked at the stars. She whispered something he didn't understand. Then she turned to him and smiled. It was small, just a little curve of her lips, but it was real. Inside the station, Jared found old supplies and working power cells. Trina explored carefully, touching old wires and machines. She seemed to understand how things worked. You know this tech? He asked. She nodded, then spoke slowly. My people, builders, engineers. She smiled. Yes. Jared stared at her. She wasn't just a royal, she was smart too. They worked together for hours, fixing a power unit and sealing the doors. Jared watched her move. She was graceful, focused. Every time she looked at him, she gave a tiny smile, and every time, he felt something stir in his chest. That night, as they sat near the small heater, Trina looked at the stars through a crack in the wall. Then she spoke. One day, home. He nodded. I'll help you get there. She turned, her eyes to him, soft, grateful. Then she reached for his hand and held it. Just for a moment. Jared didn't pull away. Jared woke to a sharp noise. The warning alarm was flashing red on the wall. He jumped from his sleep and rushed to the control panel. Outside, in the dark sky of the moon, two ships were descending fast and silent. They had found them. He ran to the back room. Trina, we have to go. She was already standing, fully awake, holding a small case of tools, and one of the station's old energy packs. Her eyes locked with his. No panic, just trust. Jared grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the ship. The ground shook as the enemy ships landed nearby. The engines of their ship roared to life. Metal doors slammed shut behind them. Jared hit the controls. Hold tight, he said. The ship rose quickly into the air, shaking from the blast. Behind them, the station exploded in a fireball. The enemy had fired missiles. Trina looked back through the window, eyes wide. Jared held the controls steady, dodging debris. "They're not playing around," he said. As soon as they cleared the moon's gravity, the chase began. The radar showed 2 ships following them. One was small and fast. The other was large, heavy firepower. Jared didn't have weapons strong enough to fight. His only choice was speed. He pushed the engines harder, the ship vibrating with the force. Stars flew past in streaks. Trina moved beside him, watching the radar. "They won't stop," she whispered. "I know," he said suddenly. The small enemy ship fired. A red beam shot past their side, burning part of the engine casing. Jared cursed. "They're locking on." He pulled the ship down sharply, spinning into a dive through a meteor stream. Rocks flew past them. One slammed into the hull, but the ship held. Trina gripped the seat, her knuckles white. "We're gonna shake them," Jared said. "But I need help." She looked at him, then stood up and moved to the console. Her fingers moved fast across the controls. Alien symbols lit up. "You can read this?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Give me power to rear thrusters." He did. She rerouted energy, boosting their speed. Then she tapped another button, releasing scrap metal from the back of the ship. The enemy beam hit the scrap instead of the engine. "That's genius," Jared said. She smiled slightly. "I was trained, before they took me." The ship flew, faster now, cutting between giant space rocks. The second enemy ship stayed behind, but the fast one kept closing in. Then the signal blinked. Another ship had entered the area. Jared looked at Trina. "Friend or enemy?" She stared at the signal. Her face grew pale. "Fallon," she whispered. "His mark." Jared's jaw clenched. "The leader who took you." She nodded. "He wants to use me, for control." Jared pushed the ship even harder, but now 3 ships were after them. "We need to jump," he said. "Deep space," Trina pointed to a set of coordinates. "There. It's empty. No colonies. No patrols." "Perfect," Jared said. He entered the jump command. The ship began to hum, charging power. But it needed 20 seconds to complete the jump. Outside, the enemy ships were closing in. "Come on," Jared whispered. "Just a little more." A missile fired. It hit the back shield. Sparks flew across the ship's cabin. 10 seconds left. Trina took a deep breath, walked to the back, and connected to loose wires by hand. Electricity jumped, but the ship stabilized. She yelled, "Jump ready." Jared slammed the command. A blinding flash surrounded them. The stars twisted. Silence. Then ... They were gone. The ship flew into deep space, far from any system. Jared checked the radar. No signals, just silence. He fell back in the chair. "We made it." Trina leaned against the wall. Her hand burned from the wires, but her face calm. "Okay?" he asked. She nodded. "You saved me." He looked at her. "You helped save us both." She smiled softly, then winced. Her hand was burned worse than he thought. "Let me see that," Jared said, walking over. She sat down, and he gently wrapped her hand in a cooling patch. "You're tough," he said. She looked into his eyes. "I trust you." Jared paused. He wasn't used to words like that. Not from anyone. "I'm not a hero," he said. "I just couldn't leave you there." "You didn't have to help," she whispered, "but you did." He sat down beside her. For a moment, the stars outside seemed still. Then she surprised him. She leaned her head on his shoulder. He didn't move. He let her rest there. 2 strangers, now bound by a wild chase across stars. And in that quiet moment, Jared realized something. He wasn't running just to escape. He was running to protect someone who had become more than a mission. The air smelled sweet and green. Jared stepped down onto the surface of a small jungle moon, hidden deep in a system no one visited anymore. The sky above was pale red, and strange blue trees swayed in a slow, silent wind. He looked back. Trina followed behind him, walking carefully. Her injured hand was wrapped in cloth, and her silver hair was tied back with one of Jared's old rags. She had not said much since the jump, but her eyes were always watching, always thinking. "This place is quiet," Jared said. "No signals, no heat trails, no satellites. We should be safe here." Trina looked up. Her eyes scanned the sky, then closed. She stood still and listened. After a few seconds, she nodded. "Safe." They found a rocky cave, not far from a stream. The entrance was hidden by hanging plants. Inside it was dry and cool. Jared brought down supplies from the ship and started setting up a camp. He lit a small fire using a portable core. Trina watched him closely, like she was learning. Each movement. You ever build a fire before? Jared asked. She tilted her head. My people, not use fire. We grow heat, in walls, in hands. Jared raised an eyebrow. In hands. She held out her palm, and focused. A faint warmth grew under her skin, glowing blue. That's pretty cool, he said. She smiled just a little, but it was the first time he paused for a second. That smile stayed in his mind. They sat around the fire, eating simple ration packs. Trina tasted one, and made a face. Jared laughed. Yeah, not exactly royal food. She tried again, chewing slowly. Tastes like old cloth. He laughed. Harder. Exactly. She tried not to smile, but the corner of her mouth lifted again. Jared stopped for a second. He had been so focused on running, flying, hiding he hadn't really looked at her. Here, away from cages and chases. She looked different, stronger. Her skin glowed faintly in the firelight, and her golden eyes had depth, sadness, strength, and something else. I used to live alone, Jared said quietly. No crew, no family, just me and the ship. No one to care for. Trina looked at him, listening. I never thought I'd be responsible for someone else, he said. But now, I feel like I want to protect you. She leaned in closer, her voice soft. You already do. That night, she sat by the cave entrance, watching the stars. Jared brought her a blanket. She wrapped it around herself, then looked at him. She pointed to the sky. That star. My home is past it. You want to go back? She didn't answer right away. Then she shook her head. Not yet. Thalen waits there. He will force the bond. Bond? Jared asked. She pointed to her neck. Royal link. For power. For control. Marriage. She nodded. Not love. Only rule. Jared sat down beside her. Then why not? Run forever. Trina looked at him. I want a life. My own. He nodded slowly. You deserve that. She turned to face him. Do humans choose their mates with heart? Jared smiled. Sometimes. Not always. But we try. She leaned closer. Then I want to try like human. He felt his heart beat faster. She didn't say more. Just rested her head on his shoulder. Again, morning came with a light rain. Jared checked the ship and sent out a fake signal in the opposite direction, hoping it would throw off anyone still hunting them. Trina walked near the stream, touching plants and humming softly. Her voice was gentle, and even the insects seemed too quiet when she sang. Later, Jared handed her a small translator chip he found buried in storage. Try this. She placed it behind her ear. A small beep sounded. Jared said, Can you understand me now? She paused, then replied in clearer words. Yes, better. This helps. He smiled. That'll make things easier. She nodded. Now I learn your voice better. He froze at her words. My voice. She looked down shyly. It makes me feel calm. Not many voices do. Jared wasn't sure what to say, so he just sat beside her again. That evening, as they ate together, she touched his hand. Thank you for saving me. You saved me too, he said. I didn't know how lonely I wasn't till I met you. The words hung in the air. Then she did something unexpected. She leaned in and kissed his cheek. Not fast, not shy. A soft, warm touch that left him speechless. She looked into his eyes and whispered, You are more than rescuer, Jared. You are hope. Jared stared at her. And for the first time he realized he wasn't just protecting a princess. He was falling for her. The sky above the jungle moon turned orange. Sunlight filtered through thick leaves as Jared stood at the ship's hatch, scanning the horizon. For 2 days, the area had been silent, no signals, no enemies. But today, something felt off. Trina came beside him. Her golden eyes scanned the forest. You feel it too? He nodded. It's too quiet. A sudden beep echoed from the ship's console. Jared rushed inside. The radar blinked, not red, not enemy but blue. A message. Someone's nearby, he said, broadcasting a peaceful code. Old Earth style. Trina leaned in. Is it trap? Could be, Jared said. But they're saying they're a trader alone, not armed. Trina watched his face. You want to check? He looked out the window again. We might need food. Power cells. I'll go. No, she said firmly. I come too. He gave a small smile. All right, but stay behind me. They packed carefully. Jared kept his blaster at his side. Trina tucked a small energy spike into her belt, a tool she used like a weapon when needed. They followed the signal through the trees until they saw it. A small camp. A single ship stood beside a fire. A man in grey robes sat cooking something in a pan. He stood when he saw them. "Peace," the man said. "I'm Malin, just a wanderer. I saw your ship on the scanner. Thought I'd say hello." Jared kept his guard up. "This moon is unlisted. How'd you find it?" Malin shrugged. "I fly old paths. No one owns the stars." Trina stayed quiet, studying him. Jared glanced around. No weapons. No guards. Malin smiled. "You both look tired. Hungry." Jared hesitated. "We're fine." Malin poured 2 cups of something warm. "I don't mean harm. Just company. It's a lonely galaxy." Jared finally stepped forward. He took the drink, but didn't sip. "We're passing through." Malin sat back down. "You got a name?" Jared replied. "Call me Jay." Malin nodded. "Well, Jay, and your quiet friend there, I got spare power cores. I'd trade for any food rations." "We'll think about it," Jared said. Trina moved closer, whispering, "His eyes. What about them?" Jared asked softly. "They don't match his face." Jared looked again. Malin smiled too much. His hands were clean, too clean. For a traveler, something didn't sit right. Then Jared spotted it. Under the robe, barely showing metal plating near the neck. "Implant," Jared whispered. "Military grade." Trina reached slowly for her energy spike. Malin's smile faded. "So, you're not just wanderers." Jared stepped back, raising his blaster. "Who are you really?" Malin dropped the cup and pulled out a small remote. "I'm the one getting paid to deliver her." Trina's heart jumped. Jared fired. But Malin had already pressed the button. A blast rang out from behind the tree. Shockwaves threw Jared and Trina back. Dozens of hidden drones rose from the jungle, red lights blinking. All armed. Trina pulled Jared behind a rock. "They were waiting," he growled. "I knew this was too easy." "They want me alive," she said. "Not you. I'm not letting them take you." Malin walked forward, holding up a beacon. "You can't win. Jay, the bounty on her is royal tier. No one walks away from that." Jared gripped his weapon. "Try me." Trina placed a hand on Jay. "Trust me," she said. Before he could ask what she meant, she stood up from behind the rock. Her hands glowed with blue light. She whispered something in her native tongue, and energy pulsed from her fingers. The jungle around them shifted. The old trees responded to her voice. Thick vines shot from the ground, wrapping around the drones. Some were crushed, others tangled and dragged into the earth. Malin shouted, trying to call them off. But it was too late. Trina's power was stronger than he expected. Jared watched in shock as she moved like a queen of the forest. Calm, controlled, powerful. Within seconds, the camp was silent. Smoke drifted from broken machines. Malin tried to run. Jared aimed. A shot hit Malin in the leg. He dropped. Screaming, Trina walked up to him. She spoke softly. "You were going to sell me like a pet." Malin groaned. "It's business." Jared raised his blaster again. But Trina shook her head. "Let him crawl back. Let them fear me now." Jared lowered the gun. "As you wish." They left Malin behind, bleeding and shaking. Back at their ship, they didn't speak for a while. Finally, Jared said, "You saved me today." Trina looked into his eyes. "I won't let anyone take you from me." He touched her cheek. "And I'll never let them take you." The sky darkened. But inside their ship, the bond between them grew stronger. They had been betrayed, but they had survived. Together, night fell heavy over the jungle moon. Jared sat near the ship's power core, checking the damaged systems. Sparks flew from the wires as he worked with shaky hands. His shoulder burned with pain. The drone blast from earlier had hit him harder than he let on. Inside the ship, Trina paced back and forth. Her golden eyes stayed locked on the doorway. Every sound made her tense. Every shadow made her look twice. She was changing. The scared girl from the cage was gone. Now, she was alert, ready. Jared grunted as he stood up. Blood soaked his sleeve. He walked inside, his face pale. Trina rushed to him. "You're hurt." "I've had worse," he said with a weak smile. "Just a burn, I'll patch it up." She shook her head and pushed him down onto the bench. "No, I will fix it." She opened the medkit and cleaned the wound gently. Her hands were careful, but fast. Jared watched her, amazed by how calm she had become. "You know what you're doing," he said. "I studied healing arts," she replied, "before they stole me." "Your people trained you for everything, didn't they?" Her voice dropped. "To lead, to protect. You do both well," he whispered. She looked at him, then touched his face. "You risked your life. For me. Even before you knew who I was." "I didn't need to know," he said. You were in pain. That was enough. Trina's eyes softened. But before she could speak, a loud crack shook the ship. Both of them jumped. The radar blinked red dot, not ships, dot footsteps. On the ground someone was approaching on foot. In the jungle, Jared moved fast, toward the weapons. Locker. They're back. Trina stopped him. You can't fight with your shoulder like this. I don't have a choice, he said. Opening the locker, Trina's eyes narrowed. She reached in and pulled out the plasma gun first. Jared stared at her. You know how to use that. She gripped it with both hands. I do now. He handed her a power cell. Be careful. That thing kicks harder than it looks. Outside, the jungle was silent, but the radar showed movement. 6 signals. Spread out there, circling us. Jared said. Trina didn't blink. We hold here. They took cover near the ship's outer hatch. Jared peeked through the crack in the door. Shadows moved between the trees. He raised his weapon, but his arm dropped. His injury was worse than he thought. Trina pushed his hand down. I protect you now, she said, and then she stepped out, alone, into the dark. Jared's heart stopped. Trina, wait. But she was already walking toward the enemy. One of the figures stepped into view, armor, rifle, helmet. The soldier raised his weapon. Trina didn't stop. Put it down, she shouted. The man hesitated. She raised the plasma gun and fired. A bright blue beam shot out, hitting the ground near his feet. Dust exploded upward. I said, put it down. More soldiers came out, weapons aimed. Trina stood her ground. Then she raised her palm. The royal mark lit up, again, brighter than ever. The soldiers froze. One whispered, it's her, the real one. Trina's voice rang clear. You work for a thief who calls himself king. I am the daughter of the Flame Court. If you take one more step, I'll show you the fire in my blood. The wind howled. Trees shook. The air changed. Some of the soldiers lowered their weapons. She's not lying. One said. Another shouted. Orders said alive but not armed. Suddenly, one soldier fired. The blast hit the shipwright near Jared. Trina screamed. No. She fired back, hitting the gun out of his hands. Jared ran out, holding his side, pain written all over his face. Fall back. He shouted to the soldiers. You're outgunned. He wasn't sure that was true, but it worked. The soldiers hesitated, then ran into the jungle. Silence returned. Trina dropped the gun. Her hands were shaking. Jared caught her. You were amazing. She looked at him. I almost lost you. You didn't, he said, pulling her close. I never want to lose you, she whispered. Not now. He looked into her eyes. Then she kissed him. Not a thank you. Not out of fear, but a kiss full of fire and choice. Jared held her, feeling something shift deep inside. This wasn't just about escape anymore. It was about each other. She stepped back and said firmly, I don't want to return to a crown. I want a life with you. He took her hand. Then we make our own kingdom. Just us. Together, they walked back into the ship, wounded, tired, but stronger than ever. The galaxy still hunted them. But now, the hunted were ready to fight back. A strange silence hung in the air. Jared stood in the control room of the ship, watching the message repeat across the screen. A royal shuttle was approaching. It carried a peace flag, the princess's true family crest, and a direct call for return to Trina of the Flame Court. We have come to bring you home. Your throne awaits. Your people await. Come willingly. No harm will come to the human. Trina stood behind him, her face unreadable. Her hands were folded tightly. Her golden eyes stared at the flashing message. They found us, Jared said. But it's not Fallon's people this time. This might be your real family. Trina didn't speak at first. Then she said, I don't know them anymore. I don't know what kind of life waits back there. They say it's your throne, Jared said carefully. You could change everything. Maybe even stop Phelan. Trina looked at him, and Levu. Jared didn't answer right away. His chest felt heavy. I told you I didn't want to lose you, she whispered. Not for duty, not for power. He stepped closer. But if you go, you could lead your people. You could be free. I already am free, she said. Because of you. The ship landed quietly on the jungle floor. It wasn't a trap. There were no soldiers. Just 4 royal guards, and an older woman who stepped out, wearing robes with Trina's family crest. The woman's voice shook. Trina, is it really you? Trina's breath caught. Mother. Jared's eyes widened. The woman ran to her and held her tightly, tears falling down her cheeks. We thought you were gone forever. Trina didn't speak. Her eyes were wet, but her face was still strong. I was taken, she said, but I survived. Because of him. She turned and pointed at Jared. Her mother looked at him. You are the human who rescued my daughter. Jared nodded. Yes, ma'am. The woman walked over and bowed her head slightly. Then, you are a hero in our history now. You've returned our light. Jared didn't know what to say. Trina stood between them. You want me to return? Her mother wiped her tears. Thalen spread lies. He claimed you were dead. He tried to claim the throne. But now that you're alive, everything changes. Trina said if I return as myself, not as someone's bride. Not as someone's tool. Of course, her mother said. You choose your path now. Trina turned to Jared. Her voice trembled for the first time in days. Will you come with me? Jared blinked. To your world. To my life. He took a breath. I'm not royal, he said. I'm not from your stars. I'm just a pilot who didn't look away when I saw someone in pain. Trina stepped closer. But you gave me more than freedom. You gave me love. She touched her royal mark. Then she lifted Jared's hand and placed it over her heart. I choose your... Her mother's eyes widened. The royal bond. She asked softly. Trina nodded. Not for power, for heart. Jared stared at her. Are you sure? She smiled. I'm not afraid anymore. The royal guard stepped forward. One of them spoke. If she declares the bond, he becomes consort partner to the crown. I didn't ask for a crown, Jared said. Trina whispered. You didn't need one. You already have my heart. And then, right there under the red jungle sky, Trina spoke the royal words. Her voice was clear, strong, filled with purpose. I, Trina, of the Flame Court, bind my soul to this human Jared of Earth. Not by law, not by duty, but by choice. The crest on her hand lit up and spread to his. A matching mark burned softly on Jared's palm. He winced. Okay. That tingled. Trina laughed. Her first real laugh. Her mother bowed to both of them. Come home. Let the stars see what true unity looks like. As they walked toward the shuttle, Jared looked back one last time at the old ship. The jungle, the fire, the hiding. This chapter was over. A new one was starting. And this time, they weren't running, they were rising together.